Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. Today I have a rather surprising review for you. This is the new Transformers Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series 74BB Bumblebee. Whole lot of Bumblebee going on there. Anyone that's not aware of these toys yet, because they were never actually officially announced and just started popping up, Buzzworthy Bumblebee is a so far Target exclusive line of toys that are all redecos or re-releases, or even at least one new set of molds that they celebrate Bumblebee. And you guys know how I feel about Bumblebee. I love him so much, and he's definitely not overhyped and kind of just shoved in our faces everywhere we look. Definitely not. Love him so much. So I have very mixed feelings about this line. I'm not interested in like 80% of what they're offering, because a lot of it's just re-releases of existing toys, and some of them are toys I didn't even want to get in the first place. But this one's very interesting because Studio Series 74 isn't otherwise out yet. And it's specifically the Revenge of the Fallen Bumblebee, which is a retool of the Transformers 07 Bumblebee, and it comes with a little Sam Witwicky figure. So it's actually an early release of the regular version. Now the toy itself has no difference between this and what's going to be the standard version. The only difference is the packaging. The instructions will look a bit different, and the backdrop will have yellow around the edges instead of the usual red. So it's very interesting. And I'm surprised Hasbro hasn't said anything about this yet. But anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Bumblebee's packaging. Then we'll open it up. We'll see the instructions. We'll see the Studio Series backdrop. And then we'll see Bumblebee himself in both his vehicle and robot modes. We'll also get a look at Sam Witwicky, of course. And I'll be doing some group shots today with the 07 Bumblebee that was previously released in Studio Series. That way we can get a good look at how the design has changed between the two toys. And then, of course, at the end of the video, I'll get my final thoughts. So this Bumblebee comes in new Studio Series packaging that keeps a lot of the same visual cues, but is predominantly yellow and black, like Bumblebee, and has this whole collage of different bees, which is really interesting. So it's pretty much a 50-50 split between what's the evergreen version of Bumblebee, which is what Cyberverse is based off of, and then G1 Bumblebee. Now what's really fascinating about this is that the G1 Bumblebees, you see one that looks like he was pulled from the 80s cartoon, but then the one down here looks like his early comic book appearance, which is very intriguing to me. And I don't know if that's just fan service or if that's hinting at something we might get down the road. It's very interesting because the Marvel comics are never referenced in modern toys, so I really wonder what's going on there. It could be nothing, could be pure fan service, but it makes you wonder. Now there is a rumor that we're getting a saucer mode Bumblebee in reference to his appearance at the very beginning of the cartoon, but it's purely a rumor right now. I'm not going to put much stock into that till we get more info, but I hope. And I hope it scales with War for Seibertron. Alright, on the back here you get your renders of Bumblebee and Sam. Get the car mode here. Takes 40 steps to transform, so he's a fiddly little guy. Hopefully the QC on him's good, so it all comes together well. You can see it's got the Revenge of the Fallen branding here. Got your GM logo, since that's who owns the Camaro. And then you get the backdrop right there. It does look like the desert battle scene that a lot of the Revenge of the Fallen toys use, so looks like they're recycling that one again, sadly. Then a little flavor text here says, Bumblebee takes on both Constructicon Rampage and Ravage to protect Sam Witwicky. Now, you can enact this scene a little bit because we do have Rampage. He came out a while ago now. So far, there's no Ravage, but it is rumored that we're going to get a Decepticon Grindor, who's a recolor of Blackout, and he's supposed to come with Ravage instead of Scorponok. Again, purely rumor for now, but we'll see what happens. And let's see, on this side, you just get a render of Bumblebee. Looking kind of obnoxiously cute, which is not usually the motif they're going for. Just kind of dopily staring at you. So here's our instruction book. And it looks very reminiscent of the instructions that came with the Bumblebee movie toy line figures, which, is quite fitting. In fact, this current toy line is probably like a spiritual successor to that, because it's just all Bumblebee centric. Because I don't know, probably because there's not a movie coming out and they needed something to kind of fill that movie toy quota. But anyway, got this nice crisp render of Bumblebee on the front, pointing his little stinger cannon at you, so that's neat. See, the number here is 74 BB, different from the regular 74. This shows how to have him wield his weapon or store it on his back. And then you get your transformation from robot to vehicle. And I gotta say, for such a complicated transformation of 40 steps, it's actually very intuitive. He's one of the easier Studio Series figures to transform. Here you got the storage for the weapon to go on the back of his car, and finished vehicle mode. Here we get our look at Bumblebee's vehicle mode and Sam Witwicky. Let's get a good look at the Sam figure real quick. So this guy, he seems to be a little too big to scale with the car. I don't think his head is supposed to like tower over the roof of the car that much. But he is actually quite in scale with the other minifigs. Between like the little mini Autobots, the paratrooper guy, pretty much spot on. Very well detailed too, like the wrinkles in his jacket and everything, and his jeans, the boots. Very nice level of sculpted detail. Now, unfortunately, he still has an unpainted face because, I don't know, like, they never paint the faces on these little human figures. I don't know if they just don't have the precision to do it, but it always looks bizarre. Very well sculpted though. If they had the capability to paint it, it'd come out really nice. But yeah, this is one of the nicer minifigures that I've seen in the Studio Series, and is the first Sam Witwicky figure we've gotten in all of Studio Series. It's kind of surprising we've gone this far at this point, because we've had just about every iteration of movie Bumblebee in Studio Series, and the only other minifigure he's included was the Charlie one. Which, quick aside, if you really want that Charlie minifigure, that 2-pack is being re-released in the Buzzworthy line. However, it doesn't include the custom car parts that the original exclusive 2-pack came with, so just be aware of that. You're going to get a relatively unpainted Camaro Bumblebee and a Charlie figure, but none of the good stuff that went with it. So if you don't care about that, you really want the Charlie figure, check out your targets. Me personally, I don't feel the need to drop another $20 on that mold just to get the little minifigure. Alright, so setting Sam aside for a moment, let's go ahead and look at this vehicle mode. And personally, I think it looks really nice. They've gone with a bit more orange of a yellow color on this than they did the 07 version, which is funny because we were just kind of talking about that with the Netflix Bumblebee, how he was like inexplicably orange. This one actually makes sense because it's pretty close to the hue used on the actual movie concept cars. And it's got kind of a sheen, kind of metallic quality to it, which is nice. Stripes are well painted, they're not sloppy or anything. The camera kind of picks up on the color matching difference between the plastic and the paint a little bit. It's not that obvious by the naked eye though. It's actually color matched quite well. And it's actually got me wondering if maybe they're opting for this more orange color for the bees because it's just easier to color match the paint to the plastic. Yellow paint is notoriously hard to match to, yellow plastic, so maybe that's why. I don't know. The front end of the car has been slightly retooled. These two side panels here that form part of the chest are retooled to be more screen accurate. And then this little like hood and grill section is also a new piece. And I'll show you the differences there. Nice painted hubcaps. You get the weapon storage on the back. Take it off if you want. The taillights are painted, so that's very good. Unfortunately, the exhaust pipes, they're not painted. The Chrysler symbol, the license plate, all unpainted, which is a shame, but honestly, what we get is more than I would expect at this point. The headlights you can see are done up in like a bluish gray color. And they did paint the Chevy symbol on the front here, but it's just the same black paint as the grill, so it doesn't stand out, unfortunately. Overall, it looks really nice, and it rolls very, very well. You would think there'd be clearance issues because these little robot arms kind of sticking off the bottom, but no, this actually rides like a dream. So I really like it. This vehicle mode turned out very well. Here we get our Transformers first movie concept Camaro Bumblebee, right here on the left. And there are a few things that are kind of immediately obvious between these two. First one that your eyes will catch is probably the difference in paint color. As you can see, this guy's a bit more yellow than his more orange counterpart. And that's kind of been an issue with the Studio Series Bumblebees. They're always a little too yellow for most of his forms, especially when you get to the Camaro forms. So I think this color correction is a good call. And then you can also see that the hoods are different. This one has the kind of raised vent on the hood that the 07 model lacked. And you can see the front ends are quite different. You have these little side lights here, completely redone. The little grille sections are new. And the headlights are even different shapes. So they really went out of their way there. As far as I can tell, that's it for molding differences, and I think that's all they really needed to do. The level of paint on these two is about the same, right? Taillights are painted, headlights are painted. This guy actually gets the painted Chevy symbol on the front, so kind of dock 1 point for the new guy. And their stripes are appropriately slightly different sizes and shapes. So overall, you know, they look very similar because they're supposed to be. This is just kind of a slightly updated model to the 07 Camaro. This was, I think, a 2010 concept, if I remember right. Now, one big improvement, and this could be an individual QC issue, my 07B, his front wheels are very floppy. Like, when they punch the pins in there, they didn't do it very well. So you got a lot of give here. You can kind of see it move around. Luckily, no such issue on this guy. He is much tighter. So that's good. I don't know how prevalent that problem is on the 07B, but I am happy it's at least fixed this time around. Here's a quick look at Bumblebee and Sam against their desert battle backdrop. And I gotta say, this looks really nice. Like I mentioned, the predominantly red bordering is replaced with yellow, but it's done in a gradient color that, you know, kind of starts light in the middle and gets a little bit darker towards the edges, especially the bottom. Same thing going on here, where it gets darker toward the top. You know, the platform's yellow. It actually really works. This looks very premium. And I kind of wish they would just switch to this color for all the Studio Series stuff. It has a very cinematic feel to it. And, I don't know, it kind of makes you feel like you're back in the movies in 2009 watching this again. Speaking of, you guys realize that we may never see a Transformers movie in theaters again? I don't know if movie theaters are ever coming back, guys. Let this be a timestamp to date this video. See if we're ever actually gonna have movie theaters again after the, you know, the Rona. Okay, now it's time to do our transformation. So if you haven't already, go ahead and remove his accessory, set it to the side. And the first thing we're gonna do is pry the doors open. And the best way to do that is just kind of a little bit of wriggling, kind of pop things loose here and there. Pull that out like that. Same thing on this side. Everything untabbed. Best way to grab it is by this like back panel here. Loose from this back fender area. I don't know why this side tends to hold a little more tightly. There we go. All right, so we got that. Doors swung open. Now we want to pull the front tires away from the front of the car. So we're going to do that. Just like so. Same thing over here. So you just want these kind of straight out to the side. Flip this little ab panel down. Bring the arms down like this. Then you want to detach little headlight sections from the front of the car. Flip his robot chest kind of out and out of the way. Just kind of put it straight out in front of his face for now. And bring this up and out of the way. Next, I'm going to rotate these backwards. So you're looking at the doors. And you're going to bring, kind of got a double hinge assembly here. You're going to bring these up. Swing this first hinge all the way up while bringing this one kind of down to the side like so. Get the arms where they need to be. Just right about there. Same thing here. Go up as high as they'll go. Rotate the arms. Look at that. All right. Flip his little ab section back up. You want to push his little side chest pieces in till you get him going like this. And just push this all the way down. So it'll kind of come to rest like on his ab piece like that. All right, so you got the upper body mostly transformed. Next thing we're gonna do is separate the back end of the vehicle mode. Like so. Those tab apart. You're gonna flip these underneath, turn around 180. These are like his little shin pieces. All right, you wanna take these little rear fender bits, swing them all the way down. Now you're gonna rotate this leg a little bit to give yourself some clearance, get the wheel out from under the fender. You're gonna grab his little like foot section, all that, pull it out, go out about a 90, and then you're gonna grab this section and pull it all the way straight. You may need to move this out of the way a little bit to get it, but you'll hear it kind of click into place. Rotate that in, kind of push the foot inward, swing it down, kind of straighten all that out like so. Push that in, and then rotate the knee 180. All right, gonna do the same thing on this side now. So bring this little fender bit out, get some clearance, pull the rear wheel assembly out to the side like so, straighten the knee, pull this in, push the foot inward, bring it up, get all that nice and straightened out here, rotate the knee around, swing that in. And you're gonna spin his whole waist area 180. Almost there, guys. Now, while you got this hood section kind of up and out of the way, you're gonna fold this panel in, start folding this in, bring this down, and you want this to kind of hook up in here. So it might take a little bit of finagling to get it to go exactly where you need it, but it should all kind of collapse down pretty flat, honestly. It works pretty well. Better than most Bumblebees. All right, so you got this. Make sure everything's kind of straightened out with the legs. Get them posed nice. But yeah, these little wingtips, swing them down and create that four-winged Bumblebee look. And these tire bits don't swing back any further, unfortunately, but swing the doors back a bit. Help with that wing aesthetic. And here we go, look at that. Now, anyone that saw my 07 review is probably wondering why I'm showing the transformation again. Well, I kind of completely botched the chest last time, so it's my way of making up for it. A few people pointed out I messed it up, so want to redeem myself. Oh yeah, one more finishing touch. These forearm panels swing out. Boom, look at that. Makes them very dynamic looking. I really like the way this guy looks. This is easily one of the best looking robot modes for a movie Bumblebee toy. And just really improves on the first few designs they did for Studio Series, and then even before that, like Last Night and everything. It just looks really good. Now, the bright silver colors that he opts for, both the very metallic paint and the kind of flatter silver plastic, not very accurate. The darker silvers of the 07 toy are much more screen accurate, but they do look nice. They make them look very shiny, very heroic. So, you know, he kind of loses points for accuracy, but I think he honestly looks better. Now you got his little stinger cannon here that you can store right there using this little peg. Just plug it in like so. Kind of keeps it nice and out of the way. Or you can have him wield it by just sliding it over his hand, and specifically his right hand. Get it on there. Now this is a new trend that started with the 07B, where instead of actually detaching his hand and plugging a cannon in, they're opting just to slide the cannon over the hand. To me, I kind of have mixed feelings about it. It's less intrusive. You don't have to worry about wearing parts out as you're constantly attaching and detaching things. But it's less complete looking because if you hold his arm up in any way, you can see his hand underneath still. So it's kind of cheating. They kind of use the Transformers Prime route of doing things where you just have a cannon that slides over the hand. And, if you want to partner him up with his little buddy, here's Sam again. Running in Shia LaBeouf's, Bumblebee! I actually want to do a count one of these days between the first 3 movies of how many times Shia LaBeouf yells either Bumblebee or Optimus, because it's a lot. Very vocal guy. Now, one thing I will say I'm very disappointed by is the fact that this toy uses the same battle mask face as the 07 version. And the 07 version marked a bit of a departure because the standard for these movie Bumblebees had been they would actually have swappable faces, where you could have the regular bee face or the battle helmet. 07 opted to nix that and just give him the battle mask, which was disappointing in its own right, but then you'd think if they were going to remold it, they'd give him the regular face, like that has to be like, you know, pre-molded in there, but either they didn't add that to the like whole mold makeup, or they just opted not to use it for some reason. Either way, very strange. I wish there could be a little more variety between these two to help tell them apart in the robot modes, but, you know, it is what it is. Here's our comparison again with the 07B on the left. And they stand apart a little bit more in this mode, purely because of the very different shades of gray and black used for, like, the metallic bits. So that's probably the easiest way to tell them apart at a first glance. I mean, you can also tell the yellows apart, but in poor lighting or someone that might be a little colorblind, that might be hard. So yeah, I mean, they both are very solid molds and the robot modes look great. I will say, I think I actually prefer the colors on this new one a bit more. Even though the silver is probably too bright, I don't know, he feels a little more premium to me. Maybe it's just all the shiny paint, you know. I'm a sucker for shiny things. But overall, I think these are both very good interpretations of Bumblebee. Now here's a fun little shot I wanted to do. We got Bumblebee climbing on top of the Constructicon Rampage, about to put a few in the back of his head, just like they do in the Revenge of the Fallen movie. Thought about making this my thumbnail, but I think it's just a little too busy. But yeah, you can reenact that scene, which was honestly one of the better fight scenes of the whole movie. It was really well choreographed. And you think this might be the end for Rampage, but that fight goes on for like another 2 minutes. Like, Bumblebee messes him up a lot more before it's all said and done. The only thing we're really missing right now is Ravage, because we don't have one yet. But it's cool. You could have, like, Sam, you know, in the background, too. Like, oh, Bumblebee! So even though these guys are a couple years apart in release, because Studio Series has been going on for a while now, you finally get the chance to reenact their famous fight scene, so it's pretty cool. And for the last shot of the video, we're going to go ahead and put these two against their backdrop again. This time, of course, would be in his robot mode. And I got to reiterate, this backdrop color coordinates this toy so well. I really like the effect that they got going on here. Again, I doubt they're going to continue this trend of using different colors beyond the Buzzworthy Bumblebee subline, but it looks nice. I think they should consider it. Maybe have the backdrop borders color match with, you know, each individual character. Just a thought. So, I gotta say, I really like this little set. The packaging is really neat looking. I love the homage to the different Bumblebees that are, you know, kind of across the corner there. I like the yellow backdrop. And overall, I think this toy is a slight improvement over the 07 Bumblebee. They're very close, and, you know, you'd be fine having either one, but I really like the colors on this guy more. And the fact that he actually comes with the Sam Witwicky figure, you're getting a better value this way, because the regular Bumblebee didn't come with a minifigure, it was just the toy. So you are getting a little bit more for the same price, which is nice. So I highly recommend picking this up, especially if you don't have some version of this mold already. You could hold out for the regular Studio Series 74 release, but I don't think you're going to like the backdrop as much as this one. It's just really neat, it's unique, I like it. And, you know, as kind of sick to death as I am of the movie Bumblebees, it is a nice package. And you got to give credit where credit's due. It's a great Bumblebee figure. I like the way it looks. I know some people have complained about the way the vehicle mode looks. I think it looks fine. I mean, there's some slight inaccuracies with like the color layout on the front, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty good. And honestly, every movie Bumblebee has had some sort of accuracy issue when it comes to the vehicle mode, so not too hung up about it. I mean, I'm not a car expert, so if I can't tell it's wrong without somebody telling me, I think that's good enough. So, yeah, fully recommend this. As far as we know, this is a Target exclusive, at least for now. But just like the Bumblebee movie toys, I don't see these going anywhere anytime soon. They're probably gonna, stick around for a bit. Now, this one might sell out faster than the others because it is the only new Studio Series toy in that subline. And the other offerings are frankly not great. I mean, they got car mode shatter and chopper mode dropkick, so I don't know why they opted for those. They were like two of the biggest shelf warmer Studio Series has ever seen, but well. So yeah, if you have a Target near you or you can find them on their website, fully recommend it. $20 well spent. Of course, that is just how I feel about this toy. Now I want to know what you all think of this. Does this new take on Bumblebee entice you? Do you like this special edition more than the standard release, or are you going to hold out for the standard one? You like to keep your Studio Series toys a little more uniform? Any and all feedback's always welcome in the comment section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new and still unannounced Transformers Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series number 74. Well, Bumblebee and Sam. And with all that said, I will see you next time.